Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I just finished doing a why is there a fly on my phone. No, we're not doing that. I despise flies. Ew. So disclaimer number one, I am not a doctor. I do not have no degree in doctor certifications, whatever, of any sort. So this is all based on my own personal experiences. So I'm not saying that this is the way to heal. I'm not saying that this is going to heal you 100%. I'm only saying that this is how I am choosing to heal and how I'm choosing to listen to myself and listen to my body. And if you don't like that, if you do not feel like that is something that's for you, that's perfectly okay. I am not telling anyone how to diagnose themselves or to even diagnose yourself. So if you actually need help in any sort of way, go out and seek the help that you need or that you want to get. And yeah, number two is if you hear Blue's Clues in the background, don't mind that. The people upstairs apparently need to blast the TV, but we're just gonna do us, okay? So it's okay. First of all, hi, my name is Elitzy and this is my channel, and I think I already introduced myself, but if you're new here, I'm Elitzy and this is my channel. And yeah, on this channel we basically talk about spirituality, growth, healing, developing, and achieving and experiencing, period. Just having an overall abundant lifestyle and learning how to be in that learning how to live in that abundant lifestyle, starting from our roots. So eventually want to do like some fun challenges on here and like have people on the channel and do like fun stuff, kind of like Q&As, or like get to know me more, fun stuff with other people, not just like about spirituality and like that style of living, which is a style of living, but I feel like also part of me is this like bougie, like I want fancy nice things. So yeah, anyways, so getting into today's actual video. The title today, we are going to be talking about the overuse of your divine masculine energy. And I do want to say that I only basically talk about things that I've experienced personally or that I'm experiencing currently as well. So which is why I feel like I can talk about this and why I am talking about this. So yeah, overuse of masculine energy. First, let's get into the leading up to the point of breaking. Basically everything that added up to the point of breaking. And I want to say like 3 weeks ago, somewhere around the beginning of June, if you do or don't know, I just quit going to the gym because it was no longer something that my energy or body wanted to do. So that's where I'm starting. So I basically stopped going to the gym, right? Which was fine. That's what my body called for, and I listened to my body during that time. So I was like, okay, you know what, I'm not gonna go, and I'm also not gonna make myself feel bad for not wanting to go anymore. It doesn't mean that I'm unhealthy now or that I'm unmotivated or that something's wrong. It just simply means that I don't feel called to go to the gym anymore, and that is that. Basically still want to have like some sort of morning routine, some sort of routine in the rising to like kind of like get yourself going, you know. Sometimes it's easier and sometimes it's harder to do those things, but I still wanted to really keep like some sort of routine in the AMs when I was going to work. If you don't know, I do currently have a 9-to-5 that's no longer serving me. Start going on runs in the mornings, and I've done this before. It was a walk in the park. Like I've done this before. I was feeling more called to go hiking or like running in the mornings or like walking or doing yoga, right? More so of kind of like things that I can do like outside or just like at home here. So anyways, yeah, so I start going on runs, and this goes on for like about 2 weeks, every single morning, like getting up. That's the first thing I do, like change, whatever, get ready to go on my run. At the same time, within these 2 weeks, I'm trying to fix my sleeping schedule. And this, when I tell you, sleep can do so much for you mentally, physically, energetically. Oh my Lanta. It literally is like the medicine for the root of your body and your soul and your mind and how everything works. Runs, and at the same time I'm trying to fix my sleeping schedule. I'm sleeping around like 12 to 1 and trying to wake up at like 5:40, around 6 maybe even, because of the idea that I had already like gone for runs at like 5 a.m. Like I used to wake up at 5 a.m., go on a run, go work out. Like it was like my natural like habit to just go. I built that routine. So I was like, oh, okay, like this is like nothing, you know, like waking up at like 5 a.m. or like 6 is like nothing. It's like a walk in the park, like I said. And so I was like pushing myself to wake up at 5 so hard when I was sleeping at like 12 or like at 1 and going on a run. And so I did that for like 2 weeks straight. And on top of that, because I wasn't sleeping the right amount of sleep that I needed to sleep or that my body was asking for, I didn't feel motivated later on in the day to even cook for myself. Being vegan is like not only like one, like it's actually really hard when you're barely coming out of it, but I feel like once you come out of it, come out of like the habit of eating meat constantly, it gets really easy because it's like, oh, it's like I already know what to make type stuff. But even still, like because I was like literally like sleep depriving myself because I wanted to continue this routine and go on a run so bad, I wasn't feeling motivated to cook for myself or really like take the time to think about what I want to eat today or kind of invest that time into myself. I was nurturing myself, but not in the ways that my body was asking for. And what I mean by this is, like I said, because I was so motivated to wanting to continue this routine and going on a run in the mornings or doing something for myself specifically in the mornings, that being a form of nurturing, like when you go, like my intentions were to nurture myself, to love myself, obviously, always. But within those, it's like not what my body was asking for. Like, because I was like putting so much energy and time on trying to wake up early when I wasn't even sleeping early, and then exhausting my energy into running, even though it was something that I wanted to do really bad for myself, like it wasn't what my body was like asking for still, if that makes sense, or at least to a certain extent. So because of that, it led into me still nurturing myself food wise, eating wise. Like I was still nurturing myself, I was still having like all my nutrients, all my minerals, all my vitamins and all that, obviously. But the best way I can explain it is my body is asking for a big meal after my run, and I gave myself a smoothie filled with nutrients and like vitamins, you know. Just because I gave myself the smoothie, it doesn't mean it's still nurturing my body, mind, and spirit, but it's not nurturing myself in the way that my body was asking for, because my body was asking for a huge meal, or vice versa. If I wanted a smoothie, I would end up having like a huge meal just because I had it, you know, like in the fridge or something. Like, so that's what I mean by I was nurturing myself, but not in the ways that my body was asking for. And because I was not sleeping right, and going on my runs, even though it was something that I really wanted to do, it was overexhausting my energy, leading me into not wanting to do anything for the rest of the day and just wanting to sleep. And I wouldn't even sleep then. When I was tired, I would wait until night, and then when it got to nighttime, I would still like stay up because I'd just be like on my phone, or yeah, literally, because I'd just be on my phone like scrolling away on Instagram or something, and I'd just be on my phone instead of putting it down and actually listening to my body and going to sleep, if that makes sense. So the root of it was not sleeping, over exhausting my energy when it came to exercise, and then that leading into not listening to my body the way I needed to be listening to my body. And because I was so tired to even do anything, to even cook, or to even like clean, or to do anything, literally, because my body was so tired from like trying to fix my sleeping schedule to meet this like point that I wanted to be at, of like waking up at 5 a.m. and running, and not for any specific reason, not because I wanted to like prove a point to anyone or to have some sort of image. It's just something that I really wanted to do for myself, because I just felt so motivated to do that for myself. Was the beginning and the lead up to the actual point of burnout. Like I said, this happened for like about 2 to 3 weeks, and yeah, it was just this continuous thing. And mind you, between that, I was still going to my 9 to 5, and like I said, it's like something that I know that's like slowly no longer serving me. So that lead up, plus on top the fact that I know that this place that I'm going to like almost every day is like not for me, and then like the people there working, like everything was just irritating me, like there, but not specifically because of the people or because of who I worked with, but just for the simple reason that I know that that energy is like not for me anymore, and it's just something that is not resonating with me anymore. And like I said, I wasn't cleaning my space, and I feel like when you clean your space, that's like, it makes such a huge difference. And yeah, so basically I just wasn't nurturing myself in the way that my body was asking for. And yeah, we are at the point of burnout. The 3rd week of, I'd say it went on for like the 2.5 weeks. Like the halfway point is when I was like, okay, like no, like hello Mijo. Mijo would agree because Mijo was there. So oh yeah, on top of that, my cat had babies. I've talked about this in a previous video, but if you're new, hello. My cat just had babies, so I was like feeding them, but at the same time I was like waking up to feed them and like clean them, make sure that they're good. And they don't live with me, but they do live in the same apartment complex. So because like the people that own the mom don't take care of them that good, I wanted to nurture them and obviously care for them. Oh, we see my Mijo chicken. But anyways, so yeah, I was like doing that in the mornings, and then on top of that, it was just like really hot. And then I have no idea why, but I felt really called to just like sit in the sun. Just sit in the sun. And then I remember like getting so like dehydrated that I would come home and like literally chug water. And it was that same cycle of basically not nurturing myself the way that I needed to. Like if I was hungry, like I would still eat, but I would eat like probably like 30 minutes after like my body was telling me like, hey, you're hungry now, so like you need to eat something, you know what I mean? So, and if you don't know what I mean, that's perfectly fine. But anyways, yeah, my cat is literally just chilling. Anyways, so yeah, now we are at the point of actual burnout. Now week 3, my body is completely, my body, mind, and spirit is completely like, no, like stop, literally just stop. I remember during that time also I wasn't really meditating because I was just so tired that I just didn't feel motivated. I just didn't have the energy to do anything. Like a lot of people would label this as like a point of a depressive episode or something like that. I personally do not resonate with that. I have been depressed before, but as I've grown and developed a lot of more different stuff and different perspectives, I've realized that I feel like now, like when you do feel depressed, it's more so of a moment in time where your body, your mind, and spirit are literally just telling you that what you're doing is not what you want to be doing. You're just doing it to do it. And that is the perfect way that I can explain these like spiritual death moments. I feel like they can be described as depression, and that's what Western society would label it as. But like I said, I personally do not like that expression, and I don't really like that phrase of using as depression, because I feel like a lot of time when people use that phrase of depression, they mean it in a way that's like permanent, where you're permanently depressed or where you're permanently put in this box of like that's what you have to be. And I do not like that. I do not resonate with that. And yeah, I completely understand it because I've experienced it, but I just no longer want to use that word as the way to describe a moment in time that is no longer serving me, that I'm no longer resonating with. So yeah, so at the point of burnout now, my body just completely says no, like stop, like what are you doing? And I remember just like the feeling is basically like wanting to like cry because you basically don't know what to do, leading me into this moment of when you're realizing what is happening. A lot of people describe it, I should say, not stop saying a lot of people, but Western society would describe it as a mental breakdown. And a lot of time when you say mental breakdown, when anyone says mental breakdown, often the perfect image that comes into your mind is a woman literally like losing her mind because she's expressing her feelings, or she's expressing what's happening, or because she's opening up about something. And that's just what society and what literally men in this life have told us what mental breakdowns are. So anyways, yeah, like I said again, I don't really like resonating with that word specifically of mental breakdown, so which is why I just say spiritual deaths, because I feel like that's what they are. It's like a purging of what your body, mind, and spirit of what no longer is serving you. So yeah, I like to think of it as like moments in time instead of something that is like something that is gonna happen continuously, you know what I mean? Because although spiritual deaths do happen a lot, it doesn't mean that you have to attach to yourself to it, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's what a lot of Western society does, is attach themselves to specific things and points in their lives that are just like not serving you anymore. And it's like, girl, you don't have to hold on to that. Let that go. Also, I just turned on the light because it's getting darker now. At this point, the physical symptoms start coming in, and what presents for me physically. Okay, so it started off with me also at the same time walking barefoot, because obviously I love to walk barefoot and get grounded with the earth. And so I do this normally. It's like a normal thing that I always do, is like walk barefoot, like on grass or like on the concrete. Like I'll literally just walk anywhere like barefoot. Grade is happening, amplifying parasites and stuff like that. I'm not really sure what's up with parasites, but I know there are, like, you can cleanse your body from them. So which is why, and I have before, which is why it wasn't really like something that was like, oh my god, I can't walk barefoot, you know. So basically I walk barefoot and I'm just like vibing, like everything is fine, like I'm chilling. But at the same time, within that 2 to 3 week span, this is still happening. So I'm walking barefoot, and then I ate cheese from pizza. So I ate cheese from pizza. Like I said earlier, I'm vegan slash vegetarian, but I recently have been like full on vegan because I just cannot after this experience. So anyways, I eat cheese, and when I tell you guys that effed up my tummy, that literally effed up my tummy. Mind you, already I was like not sleeping good. I was not nurturing my body that good in the way that my body was asking for. I basically just was not feeling good overall, and then on top of that, I was walking out barefoot and I ate cheese at the same time, causing my stomach to have problems mating the parasites. And because cheese is like literally spoiled milk, I just thought about like the milk in my stomach like sitting, and it was like, ugh. I have like this one traumatic experience of one time drinking milk when I was small, and it was literally, there's like worms in it, and not only is that a trauma, literal whole thing, an experience, but it's just like literally like I always think about that when I drink milk or any sort of dairy now, and it's just like no. So basically I thought about that when my stomach was hurting, because I can literally feel the energy in my stomach like sitting, that I was like, what are you doing to your body? Basically that's what my stomach was telling me. So I'm at work now, basically with the stomach ache, sleep deprived, not nurturing my body good, and I still had to think about what I was gonna eat for lunch at work. And it was just, everything was just basically piling on top of each other to the point of burnout, to the point where I was like, okay, I cannot do this anymore. Like, please just everything stop. Like, everything literally stop. Like, because I cannot. So, yeah. And then my stomach was hurting for a few days. And then, but I was like fine. Like, I was fine. I was still eating and stuff, but just my stomach had to like pass that through, and it was like ugh, disgusting. Started getting headaches because of the cheese, and because for the same thing that I wasn't nurturing myself the way that I needed to be nurturing myself. So I would get headaches here and there, and then I got a sore throat. My throat chakra was like, hey, like, what is going on, you know? And I'm still kind of recovering from my throat chakra, but anyways, yeah, my throat chakra like was acting up as well. And then since my whole body was at this point like releasing, because I had already come to the conclusion, I was like, okay, stop, like what are you doing? That day that my stomach was completely like ruined, like it just felt so bad. And I remember I had to work that day, and that day when I came back home, I literally just slept for like, I think I slept for like 6 hours straight after coming home. And even after coming home, because my stomach was like so bad, like it just hurt so bad, I remember waking up, I remember eating and then literally going back to sleep for the rest of the night, and I even slept in the day after. And then I think the day after that, I didn't work, which was literally such a blessing. Like my days off at this point are like such divine blessings, because it just is. So anyways, yeah, so basically my whole body is like not feeling good. All I want to do is like sleep and rest and just like sit. And mind you, since I was running that whole time and I was like going hard and like working out in the mornings, my body was sore. And then on top of that, I was also doing yoga. Like once I came back from running, like I would still do yoga. So that was also something that added on top of that. And so yeah, now at this point I'm like, okay, yeah, my body's not feeling good, so all I'm gonna do is like rest. I stopped going running, I stopped doing yoga even. I just stopped. I literally stopped. I rested for like this whole week. This is still part of now I'm in week 4, but this week I'm still like resting. Like I'm basically not doing anything. Like I'm still really trying to nurture my body, which is something that I'm still gonna get into. So anyways, yeah, so I just basically I just said stop. I'm resting. I don't care. I don't care what anyone wants me to do. I don't care what has to get done. I don't care about any of that. My body is just saying no, and I just need to rest right now. So I did, and I got back into drinking my tea, which is something that I was not doing. Anyways, I know the angle switched because I was trying to get better lighting for you, and also my nephew is now in the back, so don't mind him trying to open his cup of noodles. I got back into meditating, and during this whole process my brain was just so mentally like stimulated by myself from overworking myself in a bunch of different areas in life. Basically just a bunch of like these little things that I mentioned. There was like a bunch of like other smaller little things that I probably didn't even notice during this whole process of. Also, I do want to mention that maybe it wasn't even like these things were specifically exhausting my energy, but I think it was just more so like the amount of things that I was doing and the way that I was doing them at the same time. Like, I think that is what actually got me to this point of like overusing my masculine energy. And I think that's just something like that's naturally within me, because I always saw like both of my parents like work super hard, and being Mexican, like that's literally like what you see growing up, is like your parents always working super hard and like basically being told that you have to work 100% hard like in every single thing that you do. With divorced parents, I saw that from both sides, and so it was like always like 24/7. So that was basically what was always installed into me, is basically like having to work 100% in every single thing you do. And like basically if you take any time to rest, it's like you're floja, or you're basically lazy, which that's what floja means. So I think that also has to do a huge part that plays into this experience, because I've experienced this same burnout before and the same spiritual death before, but this time around I kind of like, I already knew what to do because of that past experience that I had already had before. And now within this process of healing, which gets me into my next topic, the process of healing, I like a bunch of like downloads and a bunch of like intuitive messages started coming through that I had already learned in the past during this same season. And I was like, wait, this came through, but I remember I already like learned this, so I already knew how to like go about my body and what my body was telling me, what my mind was telling me, and how to basically listen to my body and what it actually needs. So one of the questions that came up the first time I experienced this spiritual death, my divine masculine energy, was the question of asking myself, what is it right now in this moment that I can do for myself that is gonna show myself that I love myself, and that is gonna nurture me in the way that my body is just craving to be nurtured, if that makes sense. That is one question that has always helped me. And then bringing this same way of healing into this moment now is something that has also like just like really touched me like energetically, and been like, wow, like it made me realize how much I can so easily like not even think about like tapping into my divine feminine to love me and to nurture me. Basically like putting this like all this weight on my divine masculine energy instead of allowing for my divine feminine energy. And that's also something that I'm not used to. Growing up, it was never something that was like, oh yeah, like treat yourself kindly. So it's also something that I'm still working on, which makes sense why I'm going through this. But I just felt like talking about this and sharing with you guys like some little things that I've noticed within my own experience of like overusing my masculine energy. Well, getting into the actual healing and keeping this balance of divine feminine and divine masculine. Like I said, it's not something that I'm used to. So it's still something that I'm learning, which is why I've also learned how to be so gentle with myself as I learned how to be more in my feminine energy within myself, if that makes sense, because I feel like we can be in our feminine and in our masculine at different times, different situations, and that's just how we like navigate our own protection, I feel like, as we go throughout the world, especially being a woman. The healing part, I realized that my body was like, no, and I'm like, okay, I need to rest was the main thing. So I allowed myself to take a nap. I allowed myself to sleep as much as I wanted and needed to sleep, regardless if I had already slept like the 8 hours that your body needs every single night. Like, even if I was still sleeping the 8 hours, I allowed myself to still sleep in. I completely took off my alarm clock. Like, I'm blessed enough that my job doesn't open until like later, so regardless, like I could sleep in a pretty good amount. Took off my alarm clock, and because my body was literally purging, like I'm telling you, like my body was just like purging since it got to the point where my body was literally showing like physical symptoms of like illnesses. Literally, like my body was like just letting everything out. Thank you. There's a toy right here. There's literally kids. There's literally a lineup of strollers and stuff. This was the main thing that basically started leveling my energies of my divine masculine and started grounding me more into my divine feminine by allowing myself to rest, allowing myself to just take a break from everything. I obviously still had to go to work, but even then, like, I wasn't getting up. I wasn't forcing myself to wake up at a time that my body wasn't like naturally waking up to. I wasn't forcing myself to go on a run if I didn't feel like it. I wasn't doing it. And I wasn't forcing myself to basically do something that I didn't want to do anymore. So yeah, I think at the same time, because I had had a routine of going to the gym every single morning, I wanted to keep that kind of going, which is why I would go on a run. And also, like, going on run and getting that, like, doing a hard workout first thing in the morning gives you that dopamine release mentally, so it automatically gives you that good feeling of feeling good. So, which is also something that I think was like driving me to do more and more of. So more into the healing part, since my stomach was still going through it, I was like, okay, I think I need something more at ease, something that's like good in like iron, something that's like gonna nurture me and love me, but also that's also like making my stomach strong. So I made myself a lentil soup, which I've had before. I literally love. I love to chop some bananas and put some in there, and that's just how I always grow up eating them. Also, I also hadn't had it in so long, so it was kind of like a childhood like reminiscence of like, wow, like I made this for myself, and it was the first time that I ever made it, and obviously it was vegan. Usually growing up, like my mom would put bacon in it, but it still tasted just as good, and I was like, wow, I haven't had this in like so long, you know. So it nurtured me in the way that it was nurturing my inner child, and it was also nurturing me now as a 19-year-old being. So I really appreciated that I did that for myself. So basically literally asking myself, what is it that I need right now? What is it that is gonna make me feel good right now? What is it that is gonna make me like literally feel like I love myself right now? So yeah, basically that was everything that I asked myself like for throughout this whole entire time, and it's something that I really do want to continue going. So which is why I mean by keeping this balance, like I want to continue to be able to keep this sort of balance. And obviously, like, you don't always have your balance in every single thing, but just trying to maintain it as much as I possibly can, and like nurturing myself a lot more, because at the end of the day, as I've been journaling and as I've been, you know, just sitting with myself and breathing with myself, I've realized that the reason why I still did things that I was doing, at the end I was basically neglecting my body and what my needs were. And as I was digging more into deep into that, and like psychologically, going into like my childhood and like all of that, I was like, I realized that I was basically neglecting my own body and my own basic needs that my mind, body, and spirit were telling me that I needed. And it's the same thing that happened as when I was a child. Like, my basic needs were basically neglected growing up. And I don't say that to be like, oh my god, my basic needs were neglected. Like, no, like, it just is what it is, and that's what it was. And that is now reflected into how I was nurturing myself. And I was like, wow, like, I didn't even notice that I was doing that. I didn't even notice that I myself was doing the same thing that my parents growing up were doing without even noticing. And I was thinking up deeper into that, and I was like, I wonder if the reason why as a child our basic, like, well, I could only speak for my opinion, but my basic needs, like emotionally and mentally, were so neglected because of the same reasons that my parents were always hardworking and were always like giving it their all in every single thing to like try to provide for us, which I am so proud and can say like privilegedly, that we were able to have a roof over our heads like constantly. But I was thinking about how I think for that same reason that my parents never really like took the time to nurture themselves and rest for themselves, I think that is how that played into my emotions and my feelings, my being, my mental clarity, and basically my childhood needs being neglected because my parents never took the time to care for themselves enough to be like, I'm good enough here now within myself, mentally, spiritually, energetically, physically, that I can nurture and love my kid the right way, if that makes sense. Like, that just opens up like the whole different door to how I saw the title of my needs were neglected as a child. Now it's like, whoa, like, I think my parents never attended to themselves even enough to be present enough for their children. How I can do that now for myself. And so it's no longer just like, oh, my needs were neglected as a child. It's like they never even knew what that meant. They don't even know how to take the time to rest. And so basically they're just on this continuous like burnout. And I was like, wow, like, that must be really hard. So it showed me like more compassion towards them and towards that situation, and towards that situation of myself as a kid, as well as compassion towards myself right now in this moment that I am going through this like spiritual rebirth, spiritual death, and this whole body energetic purge that I'm going through. So yeah, those are just some like things that I wanted to share with you guys. I hope this helps someone. I hope if you're going through something similar, feel free to comment. I would say DM me on Instagram, but during this whole purging and things, since my body, mind, and spirit were just like, no. Another thing that I wanted to achieve, actually, that I wrote down in a journal somewhere a few years ago, is that I've been wanting to go no social media. So during this time, I think it was the perfect timing. Go off confirmation burps. During this timing, it was like literally the perfect timing of this purge to be like, I no longer need social media to like fulfill some sort of like kind of like a happiness, if that makes sense. Like I feel like a lot of the times, and I could talk about this separately, but I feel like a lot of times we use social media to compensate for the relationships that we have in present life, or to compensate for the need to actually do what we want to do. And for this instance is like, if I saw like Instagram there while I went to the bathroom, I would just click it because it was just like something to do, instead of like now when I go to the bathroom, like I don't even take my phone. Like I literally just like leave my phone anywhere, and like it's not the first thing on my mind, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying that's a good thing if you do use social media, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing that if you do use social media, because I might go back to social media maybe in the future, who knows. I won't. Maybe I'll completely like
just not use social media anymore. And yeah, now it's been like a week and a half and I literally love it. I only go on social media to or Instagram I should say, to basically like announce when I post new videos or when I post a new podcast episode, and stuff like that. But besides that, I'm completely like off it. I just deleted the app, and honestly it's like the best thing that I've literally done for myself mentally. And yeah, I feel really good about it, and I honestly don't think I'm gonna go back to using social media, at least not the way that I used to use it in the past. So yeah, that was pretty much the end of this video, kind of wrapping it up. I know it's more of like a long one, but let me know if you guys like these types of videos. Regardless, I'm probably gonna continue making videos like this. So yeah, if you like it, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And let me know things that stood out to you, maybe things that make think a different way, or something that switched your perspective on a way that you thought before. And yeah, that was my little spiritual death moment. I still very much am going through it, and I still very much am in the moment of like repose, where I'm just like in my energy, just more taking it slow, just very tuning into myself right now. And you know, really trying to implement more of this like divine feminine energy, where I do listen to myself, where I do nurture myself, where I ask myself what it is that I need instead of just doing what I think I need. So yeah, along with healing, I also listen to like sleep meditations, sleep frequencies, and I also did a couple rituals, like shower rituals. I cleansed my space with like some smudging. It was just a bunch of other little things, like drinking tea. Like I said, I got back to drinking tea, and mornings, like I like to wake up and like I like to say my affirmations again, which is something that I got into again, which is something that I had stopped doing. And I didn't even like, I realized that I was doing these things, but I wasn't acting on how I was doing these things, if that makes sense. I was also talking to my dad during this period and telling him like everything was like just piling on top of each other, and like I was like, so, and I was explaining to him how now like I'm just taking it easy because I realized that I was like over exhausting my masculine energy. And it's such a blessing that I can talk to my dad about these things, because it's literally like he just understands it, and it's literally so healing, like energetically, for me and for like ancestral lines. So anyways, give thanks that my dad is really supportive and loving of all his children. So yeah, anyway, yeah, he said it best. And as I was explaining to him, I was like I knew these things were happening, but like I didn't know. And then he was like, I think you did know, you just didn't act on how to fix it or how to rewrite it. And I was like, whoa, literally mind blown, because literally that is literally what I was doing, like overexhausting my energy. I knew that I wasn't really nurturing myself, like physically, like eating wise, at least not in the ways that I needed to or that my body was asking for. I just didn't act on it. So anyways, my throat chakra is literally telling me to cut it here. Yeah, I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. And I'm gonna go drink some water because I do not feel like drinking my tea, but I am gonna drink some water today. And yeah, I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. I almost forgot to say see ya. See ya.